Good morning, everyone. It's October 26, 2019, America. One thing leads to another in my experience. And when you have a violent, authoritarian police state, the result is social decay. And as a result of social decay, you engage in endless wars. And, of course, high-level officials are the ones who commit the most egregious crimes against the people, which will be demonstrated in today's video. Let's get started. All right. We the people have become the police state. And there is no shortage of people out there who are willing and glad to throw their fellow citizen under the bus. And I know firsthand, people you would never think in a million years would snitch are the ones snitching. Right, so this comes from John Whitehead via the Rutherford Institute. And the first quote in this article comes from Dr. Martha Stout, clinical psychologist and former instructor at Harvard Medical School. In quotes, "Politicians are more likely than people in the general population to be sociopaths." And she goes on to say, "I think you would find no expert in the field of sociopathy or psychopathy, antisocial personality disorder, and so on, who would dispute this. That a small minority of human beings literally have no conscience was and is a bitter pill for our society to swallow. But it does explain a great many things, shamelessly deceitful political behavior being one." And there was a newspaper headline 20 years ago that asked, "What's the difference between a politician and a psychopath?" Well, there is none. They are one and the same. And the American people continue to vote for, not just the American people, people around the world who vote, continue to vote leaders in who are straight up psychopaths. Donald Trump, Barack Obama, George Bush Jr., Sr., Clinton, they're all psychopaths. There is no difference between the two. And there's not much of a difference between the havoc wreaked on innocent lives by uncaring, unfeeling, selfish, irresponsible, parasitic criminals and elected officials who lie to their constituents. They trade in political favors for campaign contributions, turn a blind eye to the wishes of their voters. We're cheated through taxes. We're cheated through the military-industrial complex, the prison-industrial complex, the medical-industrial complex. We are fucked at every turn. Charismatic politicians, like psychopaths, exhibit a failure to accept responsibility for their actions, have a high sense of self-worth, and are chronically unstable. They have socially deviant lifestyles, need constant stimulation, and they also live very, very parasitic lifestyles. And you cannot argue with me that Congress, every fucking member of them, every government worker is a parasite on our society. And this condition of psychopathy inflicts both Democrats and Republicans. They are the same. Political psychopaths are largely cut from the same pathological cloth, brimming with seemingly easy charm and boasting, calculating minds. Yep, pretty much. And just listen to their speeches. This article goes on to say that when a politician doesn't say I in his speech, he talks about we. That's how they get people to support their cause, whatever it may be, or support them. But once a psychopath gains power, the result is usually some form of totalitarian government or pathocracy. That's I'm guessing a coin termed in this article. At that point, the government operates against the interests of its own people, except for favoring certain groups. And author James G. Long notes, we are currently witnessing deliberate polarization of American citizens, illegal actions, and massive, needless acquisition of debt. This is typical of psychopathic systems, and very similar things happened in the Soviet Union as it overextended and collapsed. Now, as I said, when I got started, one thing leads to another. And in our case, a overbloated, violent police state leads to social decay. Freedom cures most things, by the way. The decay that we see all around us is absolutely breathtaking. This comes from Michael Schneider of the End of the American Dream blog. And throughout history, great nations have risen and fallen. And for many of them, it was people on the inside that made them fall. Rome, Greece, all of them, just about, fell due to their leadership. Leadership does not care about the decision or decisions they make. They don't care about the damage they do. Fukushima is one great example of this. The wastelands that they store nuclear material on is another one. Renewing permits for, I don't know, power plants that are leaking radioactive material into the air. But we'll be the ones that gets lectured on, CO2, climate change. But I digress. But when you have social decay inside society, when it gets bad enough, it's just a matter of time before that society falls apart, and that's what we have been witnessing for, quite some time now. It's been a slow-moving rot. So, instead of setting a good example for the rest of us, our leaders are some of the greatest examples of corruption and filth. Now, Michael takes exception to a particular female I think, Congresswoman, Democratic Congresswoman, Katie Hill. And it's due to her sexual adventures. Now, I don't judge people on what they do in their bedroom. I don't give a shit what you do. It's none of my business. Michael Schneider's very, very judgmental. If this person, and I'm not saying by any stretch of the imagination that this person is professional in their job or don't take bribes, I'm just using this as an example. But if this person does their job well and they're competent, what they do behind closed doors should not be any concern to the rest of us. And likewise for this particular individual, Katie Hill. But he says there isn't much public outrage because we have come to expect this sort of thing from our representatives. And again, it's not like they were, caught molesting young children. These were consenting adults. And again, when you have people in the society that wants the government to intervene in people's bedrooms, that person is authoritarian themselves. But social decay, in my opinion, isn't represented by what a person does in their bedroom. Social decay is when the people in power keep giving themselves more power and abuse it, and it leads to a lot of drug use, it leads to a lot of homelessness, it leads to a lot of desperation, and what this woman does in her bedroom is none of our business. What we should be worried about is the legislation that they have passed and are passing. What we should be worrying about is being pulled over and gunned down. That's what we should be worried about. I don't give a shit what this woman does in her bedroom. Now, I know for certain that she does not do her job well simply because she is a government employee or official. Do any of them do their job good? No, they don't. But they've been in a consensual relationship with a subordinate. And while it may be inappropriate, she didn't break any laws. Unlike, at least not in this instance, unlike, current and past presidents. But so far, mostly Republicans are calling for her to resign, and it's only because she's a Democrat. Do you hear them calling for the pedophiles in their party to resign? No. And I think Michael Schneider is just hating on this woman because, well, maybe she has a better sex life than he does. I don't know. But it sounds like envy to me. And envy is one of the worst of the deadly sins. He goes on to ask what is wrong with us. It is almost as if a large percentage of the population has been transformed into drooling zombies without any social awareness whatsoever. They've been like this since forever. This is nothing new. People have engaged in very strange sexual activity since the beginning of time. So, this is nothing new, but his idea of decay is all wrong. In my opinion, decay is more than this. More than a woman and her husband having another woman in their relationship. No. Decay is when sheriffs hide behind their vehicles while innocent people are gunned down inside. Decay is two officers watching a serial killer, wanted serial killer at that, stab somebody on a subway in New York. The stabbing itself is social decay. But the people having fun is not. And who am I to judge somebody for what they do if they are consenting adults? But and here's another symptom of social decay is the most vulnerable and weak of that society are the ones being targeted. And this is true in the United States. Our children are targets of everyone from your lowly sheriff deputy all the way up to top leadership. So, the last October, the sheriff put up more than 200 warning signs because there are that many registered sex offenders that live in his relatively small community. And unfortunately, you have to go and look at these lists because a lot of these people it did not harm a minor. They simply got caught peeing or outside or something like that. And again, that's authoritarian. You should be able to go behind a tree and piss if you have to. But on September 24th, attorney Mark Urachuk filed a complaint on behalf of plaintiffs Christopher Reed, Reginald Holden, and Corey McClendon, all of whom served prison time for sexual offenses against children. The court filing accuses the sheriff's office of putting up warning signs on front lawns of over 200 registered sex offenders in the county last October. And if these were actual crimes against children, there should be warning signs. But if they got caught pissing behind a tree or something like that, then that has nothing to do with sex. But there's more than 859,000 registered sex offenders, and God only knows how many not registered. And that number is rapidly growing every year. But this too, right here, is a symptom of social decay. High-level police commander and his wife arrested for running child sex ring. See, that's true decay. These are the two pigs that did this. And this, of course, is on the Free Thought Project. This happened in Livingston, Louisiana. Yeah, Louisiana. A high-level Livingston Parish Sheriff's Office deputy who commanded the SWAT team has been arrested this week for unspeakable crimes against children. Dennis Perkins, 44, and his wife Cynthia Perkins, 34, are accused of multiple counts of child rape and production of child pornography, among other disturbing charges. See, that is decay, because they are targeting the most vulnerable of our society. They are targeting children who cannot consent because they don't have the mental fortitude to do so. Not some congresswoman getting it on with another chick and her husband. But on Wednesday, the couple was arrested after a months-long criminal probe headed up by the Louisiana Attorney General's office. After the arrest, footage of the alleged child rapist was posted on Twitter, showing him being led into prison in shackles. But that's a real symptom of social decay. And another is the continued election or selection or participation in the political system. Now, as many of you know, I am not biased. I don't like any of them, including Donald Trump. And Donald Trump has lied and lied and lied. And of course, there's people out there overriding his decisions or influencing him to change his mind on things. But less than 30 minutes after Trump tweeted early Friday, our soldiers have left and are leaving Syria for other places, then coming home. So they didn't really, they may have pulled them out of that part of Syria, but they are definitely close by and they're not coming home. But Defense Secretary Mark Esper confirmed prior reports that the Pentagon will indeed leave behind a small military presence to include mechanized forces at the oil fields. Another symptom of social decay is your government openly stealing. Again, they are supposed to be the example for the rest of the people, and when you have examples like this as examples, you will have social decay. These people have stolen trillions of tax dollars and fines, and it just goes on and on and on. And this is what happens in a authoritarian police state, where the citizens will throw you under the bus in a minute. Fellow citizens, just to get some brownie points, just to get off some minor bullshit charges. Again, I know firsthand. Endless wars. Presidents who make promises of bringing these individuals home and breaking their word. Presidents who openly criticized the Federal Reserve, among other entities, before taking office, and are now urging the very same policies that they criticized in the first place. This is what you get in a decaying society. I hope you all have a great day, and until next time, kill the state, live free.